Good day everyone. I'm Mark Adonis Estanes from BSCS 3B and I'm about to discuss Chapter 9, Embracing Diversity and Inclusion. Introduction. Leadership requires skill, a clear vision, and a strong commitment to establishing a constructive organizational climate. It also requires that leaders understand diversity and inclusion and the essential role they play in organizational outcomes. Diversity and inclusion are general terms that represent complex processes. A closer look at each of the terms will help explain why they are closely related and why leaders need to be aware of both concepts when addressing diversity within their group or organization. Diversity. In the most general sense, diversity is about variety or difference. Researchers have defined diversity in a multitude of ways. More Barak 2014. Ferdman 2014, a diversity scholar, suggests that diversity is the representation of multiple groups of individuals with different identities and cultures within a group or organization. Similarly, Herring and Henderson 2015 suggests that diversity refers to policies and practices that are designed to include people who are different in some way from the traditional group members. From this perspective, diversity means creating an organizational culture and embraces the values and skills of all its members. Inclusion. Inclusion is the process of incorporating differing individuals into a group or organization. It is creating an environment where people who are different feel they are part of the whole. Furthermore, Ferdman 2014 suggests that people experience inclusion not only when they feel they are treated well individually but also when group of people who share their identity are respected and valued. The underpinnings of inclusion are described in the work of Scotts 1958, who posited that inclusion, along with control and affection, is a basic human need that people experience in their interpersonal relationships. The importance of inclusion. Scott's 1958 argued that we express our need to be included by how we communicate with others, and we experience less anxiety if our need to be in the group matches the degree to which we want others to include us. In short, diversity focuses on recognizing differences, and inclusion is concerned with embracing those differences. As Myers 2012 aptly suggests, diversity is about being invited to the party, and inclusion is about being asked to dance. Brief historical perspective. In the United States, diversity was at the foundation of the country's democratic system. The United States was originally formed by people seeking to escape religious persecution elsewhere. This ideal of seeking freedom brought to the country many groups of immigrants, all of whom had different values, traditions, and religions. As the country evolved, diversity also came to mean addressing the needs of people who are marginalized in the United States, including African Americans whose descendants originally came as slaves as well as Native Americans who were already living in the country. Even today, The diversity of the country continues to shift and change as waves of newcomers enter the United States and continue to alter the social landscape of the nation. Healy and Stepnick 2017. Building a democratic nation is only possible by acknowledging and addressing issues of diversity.
So, my report is all about moving beyond an exclusionary culture assimilation, emotional cultural intelligence, diversity management, and lastly, inclusion, diversity, and leadership. Let's start in moving beyond an exclusionary culture. This is all about law like the Equal Pay Act, Civil Rights Act, Executive Orders, and Anti-Age Discrimination Acts. This was the period of civil rights movement in the United States. During this time, efforts were made in discrimination against Africans and to secure the legal rights as spelled out in the U.S. The Equal Pay Act 1963, which stated that women and men must 306 receive equal pay for equal work. In the Civil Rights Act 1964, which prohibited discrimination in employment based on race, sex, national origin, and religion or in color. Next, Executive Orders 1961 to 1965, which required organizations that accepted federal funds to submit affirmative action plans that demonstrated their progress in hiring and promoting groups of people who had been discriminated previously. And lastly is the Age Discrimination Act 1975, which is protected workers over 40 years of age from being discriminated against work because of their age or their looks or their religions. Next is assimilation. It is the process of talking and fully understanding information or ideas. This is also the process of accurating or blending into a new country, culture, or surrounding. The process by immigrants become productive participants in the social and economic life of their new surroundings. The third one is the emotional cultural intelligence. From the word itself, it's all about the emotion. There are many different definitions out there of both emotional intelligence and manage your own emotion and the emotion of others. Cultural intelligence is all about the ability to relate, to act, communicate effectively with people from other cultures. The fourth one is the diversity management. This is the deliberate effort made by the leaders of an organization to hire diverse talent and support an exclusive workplace that values and protects each of its employees equally and by providing resources to learn and connect with and respect individual differences in an organization, while inclusion is ensuring that everyone has an equal opportunity to contribute and influence every part of level of the workplace. Inclusion, diversity, and leadership. The inclusion quadrant, top left, represent individuals and group or organization who feel left out and excluded. They do not feel part of things and do not feel values. The second one is the differentiation quadrant or lower left. Describe the individuals who feel unique and respected but who also feel left out and not part of the group. The third one is the assimilation quadrant or the top right. Represent people who feel they are insider and in the organization or in the group but whose unique characteristics are not really valued by the organization. Lastly is the inclusion quadrant or the lower right. Describe individuals who feel they are belong and valued for their unique beliefs, attitude, values, and the backgrounds.
Diversity and inclusion in practice. Model of inclusive practices. First is benefits of diverse leadership. To understand this process, Friedman 2014 suggests treating inclusion as a multi-level process centered on each individual's experience of inclusion. Simply put, inclusion exists when individuals experience it. So, as Friedman suggests that inclusion is practiced at other levels. At the leadership level, para i-promote ang inclusion sa lahat, dapat every leader ay kailangan intindihin yung emotion or mood for inclusion. For example, during a staff meeting of department, halos puro lalaki ang nandoon. At ang head ay binigyan niya ng chance para ang nag-iisang babae para i-voice out her opinions to others. Para ma-feel niya na her opinions it's matter. Kahit na may mga iba't iba silang thoughts or opinions. Next is challenge for women in leadership. Another form of inclusion occurs at the group level. Groups promote inclusion when they establish enabling norms that give everyone in the group an equal chance to voice his or her opinion, acknowledge and respect individuals' differences, promote collaborative work on tasks, and address conflicts productively. In this inclusion occurs at the group level, so when a group is functioning inclusively, it is positive to group members, not toxic. So they have must be equality to each other, even it's a boy or girl, everyone has a chance to voice out their opinions. As individual, we need to grant each other and respect. Leader practice that advance diversity and inclusion. First is feeling safe. To help individual feel safe, it is important for leaders to treat followers in not threatening ways. So, in this situation, kapag ang isang tao ay feel niya na ibang-iba siya sa iba, the leader must be comfort his her and tell na kahit iba-iba tayo ng perspective, hindi siya makikriticize. That individual will be feeling safe and no negative repercussion. The leader communicate sa lahat ng mga followers niya para iparamdam na lahat ay part of the whole. Iparamdam na hindi sila mare-reject because of their uniqueness. Second is feeling involved and engaged. Helping followers find this feeling is a challenge for leaders, but worthwhile because engaged and involved followers are more productive and satisfied. So, the leader must be find ways to involve the individual in large group. And also, the leader kailangan niyang sabihan ng mga followers niya na kung anong nangyayari sa mga organization. He or she share information freely para yung mga followers niya ay maenggan yung makipag-participate or magtrabaho. Third is feeling respect and valued. Practicing the golden rule. Treat others treat as you would like to treat it is at the core of how leaders can help followers feel respected and valued. So, the leader must be put themselves in the shoe of his her followers because wala sa atin ang gustong ma-judge in negative ways and every followers want to belong and connected to the group that the leader trusts and care about them. Is feeling influential. Another component contributing to the inclusion experience is a feeling of having influence. All of us have unique ideas and position on issues. When people express their ideas and are heard, they feel like they exist and that they are meaningful. So as individual, we want to express our ideas and let them know to feel that our ideas is worth it. And we want to be influential o may ambag kahit maliit na bagay. So as a leader, allowing the followers influential by including them in decision making. Next is feeling authentic and whole. In any group or organization, there is always a certain amount of pressure to assimilate to the group or organization's mission, norms, and values. Sometimes, in a group, meron talagang parang mas gusto or favoritism because of different characteristic. But it's wrong. So the leader must be address this tension for the followers by creating atmosphere where individual feel free to be as honest and transparent. Next is recognizing, attending to, and honoring diversity. The last component of the inclusion experience is directly related to leaders and diversity. In any group or organization, people want to be treated fairly. They do not want to be discriminated against because of their social identity or the identity of their social groups. So, as a leader, each of us has the responsibility to be fair-minded and open-minded sa mga followers. Acknowledging them and embracing them kahit mahirap because leaders need to be addressed and recognized the way people different and kung paano yung i-honor nila yung every individuality. Barriers to embracing diversity and inclusion. First is ethnocentrism. As the word suggests, ethnocentrism is the tendency for individuals to place their own group, ethnic, racial, or cultural, at the center of their observation of others and the world. So, because people tend to give priority and value to their own belief, attitudes, and often to fail recognize the unique perspective of others, ethnocentrism can be a major obstacle to effective leadership because it prevents people from fully understanding or respecting viewpoints of others. Prejudice. Closely related to ethnocentrism is prejudice. Prejudice is a largely fixed attitude, belief, or emotion held by an individual about another individual or group that is based on faulty or unsubstantiated data. So, prejudice is about judgment we make about others that can result systemic discrimination that express a crude or demeaning comments that people make about others. So, a skilled leader, kailangan niyang i-recognize at i-address systemic discrimination sa kanyang organization and find ways to create inclusion with followers and groups who exhibit a multitude to differences. Next is stereotypes. A stereotype is a fixed belief held by an individual that classifies a group of people with a similar characteristic as alike. So, stereotypes is recognizing uniqueness of each individual and labeling that are not true. For example, if you say night shift workers are lazy, you are characterizing every worker who worked that shift as a lazy when in fact maybe only one or two workers. Next is privilege. A final barrier to inclusion is privilege. Privilege is an advantage held by a person group that is based on age, race, ethnicity, gender, class, or some other culture dimensions, which give those who have it power over those who don't. So, privilege is unfair advantage that some people have in comparison to others. For example, white citizens and black citizens. White citizens had power over black citizens. As a result, black citizens suffered tremendously on all levels, from employment and economics to education. So leaders need to introspective and determine if they are privileged in a way in comparison to others, including their followers. So that's all, and thank you.